Alright, sorry about that, guys. This is part 3. My battery ran out. Just when I got the charge of the phone battery, shut down on me. So this is part 3. This is a 3-part video, guys, right? This video I might talk for maybe 35 minutes. That's good enough. I made like an hour and 15, 17 minute video. That's good enough, right? Yeah. Did you eat the Ivan? Yeah, I ate a hamburger and fries at Coco Fruity. This is not bad. This banana cake. Yeah. So why, if the gatekeepers know your brand is huge, yeah. They know my brand is huge. Yeah, man. Yeah, why are they making such a big deal? Like, 10 billion is pocket change to them. Yeah, because they don't want me controlling my money. They know me with 10 billion in my bank with the keys to the game is a lot of power, man. Make my easy money, man. Yeah, it's power. Because if you have 10 billion in your bank, you can start a lot of businesses with that money. And because I have the keys on, me and Veach are gonna make easy millions and hundreds of millions and billions. We'll make our billions off our film studio. Me and Vijay want to build a park. We're going to make our money off that. Parks are risky though. If we own a restaurant, we're going to make our hundreds of millions off the restaurant. The restaurant business, I will not make my billions off that. I'll probably make my hundreds of millions off that maybe. Which I'm not doing. I don't care about restaurants. I don't care about hotels. The only thing that's a bit intriguing to me is parks. But parks are expensive. Like, to build a park, you have to put like $1 billion towards that, yeah. Which I'm not gonna do. Sky's Entertainment's enough for me to reach. We don't need more money, man. The light was flickering again. Oh, did you guys see that? I hope the power doesn't go out, guys. Oh man, that light blinded me. Oh my god. I can't see my face in the phone. Yeah, Sky's Entertainment's not money for future. We don't need more money, man. Yeah, if we make our 18 billion bucks off the movie merchant game, that's not money from Vijay. Me and Vijay, we don't need more money. You know. Yeah. I have no mayor with 10 billion in his bank. It's a lot of power. I have the keys to the kingdom, man. I can make my easy billions. That's why they're thinking of the bigger picture. I even though 10 billion is pocket change, because Ivan controls his money, we don't touch it. That's a lot of power. He has the keys to the kingdom. Him and Vijay have the keys to the kingdom. Hence why they want to control my brand. Because they're thinking of the bigger picture. They're not stupid, man. Now, even if Ivan makes his 10, 11, 12, he can start his films on him. He'll make his billions off that. Yeah, they know that. That's why they want to control my brand. Because they're greedy pigs. Greedy psychopaths, yeah. Yeah. Ivan, when are you going to clean your room? Tomorrow I'll clean it. Tomorrow after my shift, I will make my video. Then I'm going to clean my room. I'm going to clean it thoroughly. I'll do a thorough clean. I might change my setup. I might have my bed here and my TV over here. But you might get the glare of the sun from the window like I did last time. I don't know. Yeah. Some there. That's why Scotch will boil the water. Yeah, man. The only thing cooler about Hollywood is you get the public eye fame. Like all the film critics and like Hollywood Reporter and all that stuff, they interview the actors and they get featured in the public eye. They get to be on Jimmy Fallon's show. Whereas for my company, it's crazier fame, but it's behind the scenes. Like fans are also going to interview the actors too and everything, but it's a random person with a phone and it's trending on X. And the only interviews you're going to get from my company is on my website, on my Sky Source Entertainment News. That and the promos, and in the world tour they get interviewed by people like Hollywood, but it's behind the scenes. It's not in the public eye. I told you I'm not filming that. Like the interviews in front of the big crowd, I'm not gonna film that. The only stuff I'll film is if they do the group interviews with just like me and the actors and like VJ and Peter and all that stuff. That stuff I can film. I can bring 3 of my doc crew with me, but the main event thing, I'm not filming that. You guys get what you fucking deserve. You're left out of it. You chose to keep me and VJ behind the scenes. You're left behind. You're not safe. That's how it works, right? Don't hate them, Sam. Yeah. Yeah. Superman's coming out in what? Like 2 weeks, guys? Yeah, July 11th, guys. James Gunn's Superman is coming out July 11th, guys. You're welcome, Warner Bros. I'm promoting your movie. I recommend all you guys, you watch that movie, man. It looks like an amazing movie. I hope it's good. I'm going to see that on theaters, too. But I hope the movie's good, man. If the movie's not good, that's not good for James Gunn, right? The number one thing is the art. The movie has to be good. It doesn't hurt for Warner Bros. To make profit, too. I think the movie should make at least its $800 million plus. But if I'm going to qualify it, if the movie's bad, it will not make $800 million. It will make less than that, obviously. It has to be a good movie. And the word of mouth will spread. I'm also promoting on my Sabbath channel. The movie should do, I think, $800 million plus. I think $800 million to $1.2 billion Superman does in the box office. But if it does more than $1.2 billion, I will not be surprised either because it's a Superman movie. And Superman's a very popular IP. There you go. I highly doubt 2 billion, 1.5. I think that's out of reach. But I will not be shocked if it does $2 billion. Superman do because they had 250 million people watch the trailer. So if 200 million people see it on theaters, Superman will do its 2 billion, 1.8, 1.7 dollars in the box office. I highly doubt that. I think more realistic, 800 million, 900 million, a billion, 1.1, 1.2. That's my prediction. And I think opening weekend will do 150 million plus. 150 million plus to 180 to even perhaps $200 million. I'll not be surprised. But I think more, maybe 150 million to maybe 180, $200 million Superman does opening weekend. Because I'm promoting it on my channel and the whole world's tuning into my channel. I think Superman has legs. If it's good, it should make its 800 million plus. Yeah. I predict 800 million to 1.2 billion. I'll not be shocked if it does more than that. So I'm qualifying it. If Superman does more than 1.2 billion in the box office, Just remember that Ivan Amara told you he will not be shocked if it makes more than that. I have doubt that. I think more realistically speaking, 800 million, 850, 900 million, maybe a billion, 1.1, 1.2. But I'll not be shocked if it even makes more. Because if it's a good movie, the word of mouth will spread, man. Yeah, it's gonna spread like wildfire, right? Yeah. And this coffee tastes like shit. Yeah. 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 And because I have the keys to the kingdom, I don't have to have that worry about my movie flopping, right? Because I have the keys. And so I don't have to worry about my movie flopping financially, right? Artistically, critically, it could flop. But financially, all my movies will be profitable because me and VJ are special. We're God. We know the whole world will buy our movies. And we have the keys to the kingdom. That's why I don't have to worry about. Even if I invest $2.4 million into Xanus, I'll make my money back. I'll make maybe my $8 billion off the movie. I'll make my money back, obviously. Good investment. Yeah. Or these Hollywood companies, they don't have the keys. So they have to pour like a million, tens of millions of dollars towards marketing to get the word out there. But it's risky too because, yeah. Because I heard Superman was made for like $300 million. And I heard Warner Bros. Spent like 200 plus million in marketing. Obviously. That means the movie has to do maybe 900 million to break even around there. I heard Superman was made for 300, and I heard Warner Bros. Spent 250 million marketing. So that's $550 million. Which means, yeah, Warner Bros. Yeah, Superman has to do about maybe 900 million to break even, maybe 800 million to break even. It just depends how much money they spent on marketing. I don't know. Maybe 200 million marketing. I highly doubt 200. Maybe, but I remember I saw John Caffrey's show. They said Warner Bros. Spent like 200 million marketing or something like that. Which means the movie has to do maybe 850, 900 million to break even. That's how you know Warner Bros. Is expecting the movie to do a billion plus, obviously, because they spent so much money on the movie. Yeah. Samsara. I might be mistaken. I think Superman was made for maybe 200 million, maybe. I think the movie has to do maybe, yeah, around 750, 800 million to break even. That's why they're looking for that $1 billion hit, obviously. More, that's their hope. Warner Bros. Superman makes $1 billion. That would be profitable, obviously. I'm not really sure on the numbers. I might be mistaken. I have to go back and do some research on that. But yeah. Yeah. You think James Gunn movie will be good? I think James Gunn Superman will be a good movie. I'm gonna predict it. I think it'll be the best Superman movie ever made. I think it will even be better than Man of Steel. But Man of Steel was a good movie. I remember I saw that in theaters when we went on vacation to Kingston, Ontario. I saw it on theaters with my younger stepbrother, and I had like my large pizza. We shared a large pizza together. I paid for it, right? And I saw Man of Steel. Man of Steel I enjoyed on theaters. It wasn't like a masterpiece. It was a good movie, but it's a bit dark. The movie, right? Man of Steel is a dark Superman movie, whereas James Gunn's Superman is lighter. Obviously, it's not as dark as Man of Steel. Man of Steel is a bit darker than James Gunn's Superman, and in my opinion, a Superman movie shouldn't be too dark. You gotta balance it, man. Like have it be a bit dark, but you also have some lightness in it. James Gunn's Superman, you can tell it has a bit of that lightness in it, whereas Man of Steel doesn't really have that lightness, and it's very dark. It's a dark Superman movie, very dark. And that's one reason why I think it was not successful. I remember when Man of Steel came out, the marketing for that wasn't that good. I believe I remember the marketing for Man of Steel was not that great, man, back in 2013, right? Yeah, it wasn't amazing. And the movie, even though the movie was a good movie, obviously it was a bit dark. And for a Superman movie, you can't have it be too dark. You got to have some lightness in it. That way, it's more entertaining, more family friendly for the families, right? Because Man of Steel is a dark Superman movie. It's pretty dark. Whereas James Gunn's Superman, you see a difference. There's more light in it. It's lighter, right? Yeah, a bit more lighter. Yeah. Richard Donner's Superman is a bit lighter too. But I like Man of Steel better than Richard Donner's Superman, obviously. The one that came out in the 70s. The first two movies were good movies, and the other ones were a crapshoot. They were terrible movies, obviously. Yeah. But I enjoyed Richard Donner's Superman over Superman Returns. Superman Returns was not that good, obviously. I prefer Richard Donner's Superman over Superman Returns, but I prefer Man of Steel over Richard Donner's. I prefer Zack Snyder's Superman over Richard Donner's Superman, right? That came out in the 70s and the 80s, right? Yeah. Yeah. The only flaw I have about the Richard Donner Superman is that you don't get any backstory with Superman's father. Like when you watch the first movie, he dies like right in the beginning of the movie, and when Superman says goodbye to his mother, you never see his mother ever again. That's the one flaw you have in the movie, right? You don't see his mother ever again after that, which I find was very stupid, obviously. But the Richard Donner Supermans were good movies. A little cheesy, obviously, a little dated. It's pretty cheesy, but I watched the movies and they were good movies. The first two were really good, and the other ones were terrible, obviously. They were good stories. But the one flaw I have in that movie is you don't really get any backstory with Superman's parents when he grew up on a farm. Like once he says goodbye to his mother in the first movie, you never see her again in the series. So Sarah? Yeah. But the movies were good. A little cheesy when you watch it now, but even it was a product of its time. For back then, it was obviously amazing, right, in the 70s. But now, because technology is so great in Hollywood, you see the Richard Donner Superman. It's a bit cheesy, but it's still a good movie. It's a good movie, obviously. But you compare it to Man of Steel, you see a huge difference with technology, right? Because technology is much better in the newer generations, obviously, coming generations. Yeah. There's a reason why me and Vijay were born in the early 90s. We were born during a time when technology was at its highest peak. There's a reason why me and Vijay didn't come to Earth in the 1800s. You know what I'm saying? There was no internet back then or anything. So we came at this time because we knew that this is the dawn of technology. We were born at the dawn of technology. Yeah. That's why all the baby boomers and Gen Xers, they envy the millennials and the Gen Zs because the millennials and the Gen Zs grew up when technology, at the dawn of technology, especially the Gen Zs and the millennials, the later born millennials, the ones who were born in the early 90s, not the ones who were born in the 80s. Even the ones born in the 80s are still pretty young. They're like 44. Whereas the Gen Xers and all on the baby boomers, those guys are all like 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, 70 years old, whatever it is. Yeah, I wish I was born in the millennial generation because yeah, like I was born at the dawn of the peak of technology. I came at this time. That way, when I'm king, I can make amazing movies with the amazing technology we have. If I was born in the '50s, the movies wouldn't be as good, obviously, right? I was born in the late '90s, in the early '90s, at the dawn of the peak of technology. That way, when I'm king, I can trend on X. There was no Twitter back then. There was no internet back then. There was no cell phones back then. Now you have cell phones. You have YouTube. You have X. You have Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, technology's at its peak right now. Yeah. Now you can watch stuff on movie trailers on your phone for crying out loud. Like back then, you had to watch it at the theater previews or on cable television. Now you can watch trailers on your phone, man. Like technology is just so advanced, it's crazy. Yeah, that's why I was born at this time, right? Yeah, at the dawn of technology. Yeah, me and Media decided to come down at that time because this is the dawn of technology, the dawn of the peak of technology right now. Some Sarah? Yeah. So, Ivan, you really think movies in the 70s, 80s, and 90s are better than the ones today? Yes, they are. That's just the truth, man. Most of the movies made, especially the 90s, had a lot of really good movies. And the 90s is when, like, even though the 90s looks a bit cheesy, the movies in the 90s still holds up pretty well today. Like, it's the 80s and 70s where it starts, you start to see a difference in technology. It's a bit more cheesy, but the movies in the 80s and the 70s and 90s were, most of them are better movies than what we get today, right? Most of the stuff we get today is garbage. You only get a few gems here and there. Highly entertaining and everything because technology, but the stories are not. Hollywood's not really telling that great stories these days, man. It's all about spectacle and just making money. Because the Hollywood companies are owned by corporations. George Lucas talked about that. He said when he grew up, Hollywood used to be owned by people who loved and cared about movies, and eventually they were bought by corporations. And now all the Hollywood studios are owned by corporations who are business people, but they don't really know that much about creativity. Obviously, yeah. And all Hollywood puts out now are 150, 200, $250 million budget movies because they want to wow the audience with a spectacle and hopefully they make a buck out of it. When they should balance it out, man. Make maybe one $250 million budget movie and just tell a great story for maybe $30 to $20 million. That way you lower your risk. But Hollywood, they just keep pumping so much money towards movies nowadays. And that's why it's tougher for them to make money because they spend so much money on movies. It's crazy now in Hollywood. Yeah. So I'm sorry. Yeah, right. You're being a hypocrite. Like you're spending so much money for your movie. Yeah, but I'm the exception. I have the keys to the kingdom, as I can afford to pour a lot of money into my movies because I know I can make my money back. I have the keys to the kingdom. You have the keys to the kingdom, and making Xanus for $2.4 million is not a risky investment. We sell the box set for $135. We're gonna make our money back. I don't know, right? 8 billion, 7 billion, 9 billion, 10 billion off the movie. I don't know, 8.5 billion off the movie. It's a good investment. Whereas the Hollywood companies can't really have to really think about the risk they're taking when they pump so much money into all these movies. And they get angry when they lose money, and that's why I believe they should balance it out. Make a couple, maybe $250 million budget movies, and then make a good story for maybe $20, $30, $40 million to lower your risk. Because if you make a movie for $20, $30, $40 million, your movie only has to do maybe 100, maybe 50, 30, 40 million to be profitable, man. And it lowers your risk, right? Yeah. Because back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Hollywood was not throwing like $250 worth of movies. No. They're making movies for 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. You have the inflation, like 20 million back then is more now, obviously. But like back then, they were making movies for 20 million, good movies for 20 million, 15 million. Like Star Wars was made for $11 million. And yet that's one of the greatest movies ever made, right? Yeah. Because Hollywood was a growing industry back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. That's why they did not put that much money towards movies back then. But now in Hollywood, they pump out a lot of big budget movies for like 250, even 300, 150, 180 million budget movies. And a lot of those movies lose money, man, because, yeah, all they care about now is just making a quick buck and the spectacle, less on story. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, there's some great movies that came out in Hollywood, good stories, obviously, but a lot of the Hollywood movies that come out today are garbage. They're not that great movies. You get a few gems here and there, and the other ones are okay. They're not that great movies right now. Like Chinatown is one of my all-time favorite movies with Jack Nicholson. And Chinatown, even though it's a bit cheesy when you compare it to detective movies now, I think Chinatown's arguably the greatest detective movie ever made, man. That movie, the ending I did not like. That was a fucking masterpiece of a fucking movie, man. I recommend all you guys watch Chinatown. It's an old movie. It came out like 50 plus years ago in the early 70s with Jack Nicholson. But watch Chinatown. Chinatown is a masterclass of a beautiful detective movie, man. It was a fucking amazing movie, that movie, man. I was hooked watching it. This movie's sick. Yes, it's a bit cheesy when I compare it to movies now, but in terms of story, it's a fucking amazing story, man. Easily beats out all these detective movies that are coming out today, right? Yeah. But the technology was not as good, but the story was amazing, man. Yeah. Son, that's my point. Yeah. So, Ivan, you have to separate story from entertainment. Yes, I'm not gonna lie to you. The movies that that Hollywood releases now, obviously, are obviously more entertaining than the ones that came out in the 70s, 80s, and 90s because the technology is better and the spectacle is better, but the story's not as good. And if the story's not as good, even if you have an amazing spectacle, your movie's not better. Your story is number one. Story comes before spectacle and technology. Yeah, spectacle is like a bonus, but story is number one, obviously. Some Sarah. As the prequels are more entertaining than the originals when you watch it, right? In terms of technology, but the story is not as good. I think the prequel stories are pretty good, but they're not as good as the originals. That's why the originals are known as being the best ones because the story is so amazing. The first two was Return of the Jedi was not that good right now. Yeah. Like Matrix Reloaded is obviously a more entertaining movie than the Matrix One in terms of spectacle, but in terms of story, it's not as good as the first Matrix. The Matrix blows it out of the water in terms of story. That's why the Matrix One is known as being the best one. But it's not the most entertaining one. Whereas Revolutions was a crapshoot. I did not like Revolutions. Revolutions was not that good. Reloaded was pretty good, 7 out of 10. Matrix like a 9.5 out of 10, and then Revolutions is like I don't know 5.8 out of 10. Revolutions was not that good. It was a crapshoot. It was bad compared to the previous movies, obviously. Yeah. I mean, spectacle good? Of course, spectacle is obviously good. Spectacle is what makes your movie entertaining, makes it fun. But story is what captures the hearts of the viewers. Obviously, story is what captures your heart, your imagination, what you think about the movie and everything. Yeah, where spectacle is to entertain you and have a good time at the theaters. That's why both are important. But you don't lean too much on one. You gotta balance it out, man. Like Transformers is a perfect example where they have bad balance. They focus more on spectacle. The stories are not that great in Transformers when you read it, and there's a lot of plot when you watch it. There's a lot of plot holes in Transformers 2 when you watch the movies carefully. Obviously, some Sarah. Transformers has a lot of plot holes when you watch it. A lot of plot holes. Yeah. When you watch Transformers 2, which I own on DVD by the way, they said Optimus Prime is his descendant from the original Primes. Obviously, and then when you watch Age of Extinction, one of the Transformers tells Optimus, "You think you were born, you were made." Well, if he's made, how can he be the descendant of the Transformers? Like, you have a contradiction. Yeah, I caught that plot hole, man. Yeah. Some Sarah? A lot of plot holes quite a few plot holes in Transformers. Transformers has amazing spectacle, one of the best spectacles ever. Highly entertaining, you're on the edge of your seat, but the story is not necessarily the greatest, right? The story of Transformers is not that good. It's okay, it's not that great of a story. But it has amazing spectacle, that's why the movies made so much money. The spectacle is what really puts butts in the seats, because you have a fun experience with the theaters, but you also have to balance it out with your story. And that's why for Xanus, I'm making it for $2 performing dollars. That way I balance it out. I write a good script with Peter. I tell an amazing story. At the same time, I have you on the edge of your seat with the spectacle. The amazing battle scenes, the world building, and the horror of demons and bats. You balance your spectacle with your story. It's very important. Sarah? I even know your shit. That's not my shit. I know my shit. Yeah. Yeah. So why you really like George Lucas sequels? I mean his prequels. I'm like, yeah, I think his prequels are pretty good movies. Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith, I think, are good movies, but Attack of the Clones, no offense, George, it was not that great of a movie, obviously. Attack of the Clones, that's where George really had a bad day in the office. It's not that Attack of the Clones was not that great of a movie. It wasn't terrible, but it's not that great. Attack of the Clones is like a 5.5 out of 10 for me. It's okay. It's by far the worst of the three movies. Whereas Phantom Menace is pretty good, like a 7.5 out of 10 for me. And Revenge of the Sith, I think, is a masterpiece. I give it like a 9.5 out of 10. That was my second best movie experience in the theaters. But George Lucas sold his company to Disney because of the prequel backlash, right? A lot of fans didn't like his prequels. Same time, he was getting old. He needed someone to take over his Star Wars brand. And he sold it to Disney. And look what happened to Star Wars by doing that, right? Yeah. Some Sarah? Hence why I'm not selling it. I don't want the Hollywood executives touching my story, man. They can ruin my fucking story, yeah. I'm very protective of my Xanus brand. I don't want anybody touching that story, man. Yeah, man. So you care more about Xanus being a bad movie than you making money? Yes. I care more about my movie being amazing more than the money, obviously. And that's how you know I'm an art nerd. Yeah. Like, Peter, I don't want to make some shitty movie just to make money. Like, we gotta tell a good story, man. I don't want you ruining my masterpiece, Peter, right? That's why we gotta really take our time when we write the screenplay, when we do the concept art. We gotta really put in the work, and you gotta take your notes, Peter, or Mel Gibson. That way you're prepped, and we make an amazing movie together. I told you, if you follow the Xanus book, you're gonna get a masterpiece. You're gonna get your masterpiece because my book is amazing, and my book you can actually follow it page by page. It's not like Lord of the Rings where you have to cut a lot of stuff, because Lord of the Rings has pacing issues if you adapt it page to page on the screen. Hence why, what? Peter had to cut so many things when he adapted the movie. Peter's a guy, for Lord of the Rings, it's a hassle to adapt, and I had to cut a lot of stuff. Otherwise, I would have had pacing issues. And I can't cram all Lord of the Rings in one movie. It's too deep and rich. Yeah, I know. But Lord of the Rings, if you want to follow page by page, you got to make like a 6-movie series, like 2 parts per book, right? And even if you make 2 parts, you might follow maybe 65% of it. Yeah, if you follow 100% of Lord of the Rings, you're looking like an 8-movie series, man. Because the book is very long and it's very rich and in depth, and you have a lot of pacing issues. Some of your movies will be boring because J.R.R. Tolkien drags on with his info dumps, and Lord of the Rings obviously has pacing issues. It's not paced very well, right? As the first half of Fellowship of the Ring is pure boredom. It's just Frodo and them. They leave the Shire and they meet all these people: Old Man Willow, Farmer Maggot, Tom Bombadil, Goldberry, Gildor the Elf. You know what I'm saying? The manager at the Prancing Pony Inn. And then once they go through the Barrow Downs, that's when it gets a bit more interesting. Obviously, and then when Frodo gets stabbed by the Ringwraiths and he goes through the ford with Glorfindel, I believe. Is it Glorfindel? Yeah, that's when it gets more interesting. And then the Council of Elrond is a bit boring. Then once they leave, the Fellowship begins and they join through Moria. That's when the story picks up a little bit more in Fellowship Ring. That's why Fellowship Ring is is the worst for me when it comes to the books. Obviously, most people like Fellowship Ring the best, but for me, it's the worst one. My personal favorite is probably Two Towers for the book, and then Return of the King, and then Fellowship Ring is the worst for me for the book. For the movies, Two Towers is my favorite. Then Fellowship Ring is a close second. The worst is Return of the King for me when I watch the movies. Yeah. Ivan, what volume do you think will be the best for Xanus? That's a tough one. I think they're all going to be equally as good. It's going to be tough to choose. All the fans will be like, yeah, Ivan, it's tough to choose. I think Volume 3 perhaps might be the best. Pretty much telling me, I think Volume 3 will be the best line because you have the huge exodus with the Saphians. And you have they journey through the cavern like Moria. The demon bats are sleeping there. You have the big war in the end. You have Eretat's army marching like Helm's Deep. Volume 3 might be your favorite line, but Volume 2 some fans might like better. Some fans might even like Volume 1 better with Light Behind the Walls. I think they're all going to be equally as good. You're looking at a masterpiece for all 3 movies. Here's the eye, it's going to be tough to choose. Like, all 3 movies are going to be masterpieces. I know, Peter. All going to be masterpieces. Alright. Yeah. So Zane's will have spectacle, yeah. Zane's, there's a reason why I'm putting $800 million towards my movie, because I want to have amazing spectacle to entertain the show, you guys, with the horror, the wolves and bats, and the battle scenes and the wobbling. I'm also going to make sure I tell a good cohesive story. If you follow the Zane's book, you're going to get an amazing story. As I wrote a masterpiece, man. Zane's is number 1. It's the best fast novel written. It's a masterpiece, man. Yeah. Some Sarah. Because Ivan, I can't wait to hear Olivia Ivan. I know VJ. She's so excited, yeah. Ivan, I'm so excited for this movie. I know VJ. Finally, man, no more shitty movies in Hollywood. Yeah, no more shitty movies in Hollywood, VJ. You finally get to be in a bigger movie with me, like Lord of the Rings. I think something like Arwen and Arwen for VJ in Lord of the Rings. She's the daughter of Eli, the powerful leader of Saphius. Yeah, look at that sick movie. Priest, alright, look at it, man. This is Lord of the Rings. Alright, no, Priest, Lord of the Rings is a masterpiece, yeah. 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 You will get sick, man. I know, John. I will get sick. I'm saying, yeah. I can't wait to be part of that movie. I know, John. Look at a sick movie. Our cousin, we seek Prince Taki. Says, you haven't found passage here. You're going to see John Maega with his horse. You see Shimonzu. This horse is thirsty. You see Annie Zergus. Excuse me, who are you? You know what I'm saying? I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. Yeah. So you, John Megan, G-Mon 2 will be close. Yeah, you're gonna see us. We're close in the movie. We're cousins, man. We're cousins. Yeah, cousins who love each other, right? As Cassius and Tacitonius love Taki. That's their world cousin, right? Cassius has a very big care for Tacitonius and Tactius when you read the book. As you guys read in that scene when Full captured him, right? He's like, no, like leave the boy alone. It's me you want and all stuff. Yeah, he has a big care for Tacitonius. That's why he doesn't want Tacitonius leaving the walls. When you read 20, he's like, I won't spoil the story for you. And he's willing to leave the walls and knowing of the dangers in the south to fight his cousin. That's how much Cassius loves Tactius, man. He cares about him a lot. Yeah, he's very important to him. And that's why he was willing to ditch the Southerners and just take Tactius. Tacitonius here is required and ditch the Southerners. Yeah. Cousin, I found you. We're in Eretaz territory. This place is demonic. It's cursed. We gotta get the fuck out of here. And he's like, no, I can't leave Lithia. He's like, Tactius, forget about Lithia, man. Forget about your feelings for Lithia. We need to get the fuck out of this place. Yeah. But Tactius is blinded by his feelings for Lithia because he likes her, right? Yeah. He's like, no, I can't leave Lithia. You mean Eli's daughter? It seems like you're already clarifying your feelings, Tactius. We won't have time for this. I'm now sick. I know. My look is sick. Yeah. So why you know how to keep the story pacing? Yes. I know how to keep the story pacing. That's the key to what? The key, you know what I'm saying? That's the key to writing an amazing story. You have to constantly keep the story pacing. Every chapter that you read, I always put foreshadowing clues in there, or I end it off with a big climax, and that's why my story is so entertaining when you read it. Yeah. So even though I take volume 3 in a totally different direction, I gave you some clues in the first few volumes, and when you read volume 3, okay, this now makes sense from what I wrote in volume 1 and volume 2. Yeah, it all comes to light. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I put foreshadowing clues in there, obviously, and I always make sure I have climaxes, big climaxes happen in every chapter, and that keeps the story pacing. And I'm also amazing with dialogue and character development. That's why my story is so entertaining. As you guys read, right? The masterpiece. And the characters come alive on the page. That's what my book is, a masterpiece. It's an amazing book, man. Yeah, man. Almost there, guys. I talked for good, what? I don't know. First video was 25 minutes. This is 45 minutes. That's an hour and 10? If my math is right. 45 plus 30 minutes is an hour and 15. An hour and 10, and then 70 minutes. An hour and 27 minutes. Yeah, so I talked for almost an hour and a half, guys. I'm almost done this video. This will be 3 parts. Hope you guys enjoy this show. Yeah. Take a shower after this. Tomorrow I'll clean my room. I don't feel like cleaning today. I'm tired. I'll clean it tomorrow. I might bite the Shadow Cartier and drop with my resume. I was supposed to drop my resume with the other guy at Coco 40, but I should drop it off today, right? The rain stopped. Yeah, because if I can get that hotel job, I'm quitting Coco 40, man. I'd rather work at a hotel than work there, right? I'll apply for the dishwashing position because I don't have any line experience. So I have to apply for dishwashing, right? I have a lot of dishwashing experience. A lot of my jobs, I work with dishwashing jobs, right? I think, what? 5 dishwashing jobs in my life? 5 or 6, yeah. And watch out, Ivan, for the greedy agents and managers in Hollywood. They're greedy pigs. If John Boyega's agent wants 20 million with the film profits, I'm not paying John that. He's not worth that. He gets 8.5. If he's worth like his 18 plus million, John Boyega, maybe 19, 20 million, I can pay. I won't pay him any more than 9, but I can give him 10 million of the film profits. 10.1, 10.2, a bit more. He signed like his 23 million deal, whatever it is, with his speaking fee money and his game money, 2 million for the game. I can pay him 2 million for the game if he's worth like 18, 19 million, John Boyega. But if he's worth like maybe 15 million or something like that, I'll pay him 1.9 million for the game, John Boyega. He signed like his 20, 21, 22, 23 million deal, which is like a 13 million deal in his pounds. A huge contract. That's how much A-list is making in Hollywood. Yeah, John Boyega signed a massive deal. It's a deal, man. Yeah, give me a deal, Johnson. Stop being greedy, considering, you know. All these actors, agents are greedy, man. And John is like, I ain't $20 that, man. I'm like, no, John, you get 9. Stop being greedy, man. I'm not going to pay you 12, man. Yeah. Ivan, what about 2 million for the game for John Boyega? 1.9 million for the game for John Boyega and like 7 million of the game profits. I'm like, no. He gets his 1.9 million. That's it. He's not getting enough. Yeah, I'm not going to overpay John Boyega and have him bring me off, man. I'm already paying him enough. He doesn't make this in Hollywood. If you don't like my offer, guys, you're more than welcome to Hollywood left behind. It's a deal, Ivan. Yeah, give me a chill. Sir. Yeah. Especially Russell Crowe. Because Russell Crowe is a very big, powerful actor, even when I offer him his 90 million Canadian, which is like 100, like 2 million in his Australian money, the agents might get cocky and push for Ivan. What about like 4 million for the game for Russell Crowe and like 50 million of the profits for the game? I'm like, no, guys, he gets his 4 and that's it. Russell Crowe for the game. I'm not paying him any more money. Ivan, what about $1 million for the promos? I'm like, guys, man, you're getting greedy. I'm not going to pay Russell Crowe $1 million for the promos. He gets 300K. Stop being greedy, guys. Why? He's promoting your brand. He's going to be on your Sky Source News and the magazines. I know. I'm not going to overpay him and have him do me, man. I'm sorry. If Russell Crowe's chosen, he signed a mega deal, like a 90 million Canadian, which is 100 million deal. And you see the announcement, and they're like, holy shit, Russell Crowe signs massive $90 million deal for Xanus, which is 102 million in his Australian money. This is in Australia. We signed a 100 million deal. It's a mega deal. That's Robert Downey Jr.'s contract for Avengers. And Robert Downey Jr. is bigger than Russell Crowe, right? That's what my company blows out of the water. He's like, holy shit, Russell Crowe. You know what I'm saying? Your company blows out of the water, Ivan. I don't make this. I made like my 20. I know Russell Crowe. You made like your 20 in Hollywood. Yeah. My company blows out of the water. Making more than the CEOs. David Zaslav makes 51 million. Russell Crowe signed a bigger deal than David Zaslav, man, for crying out loud. Yeah. I told you, in Hollywood, the big A-listers even make more than the CEOs. They make more money. Yeah. As Robert Downey Jr. is making 100 million for Avengers, and yet Bob Iger only made 41 million last year. So the big A-listers even make more than the CEOs in Hollywood because they're more powerful. They're the advertiser of the movie. A lot of A-listers in Hollywood make more than even the CEOs. Most of them don't, but like the big guys, some of them can even make more money than the CEO sometimes, right? And you have something similar with the actors too in Hollywood, yeah. Some Sarah. Yeah. 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 Ivan, what rating do you think Superman will have out of 10? I think Superman will be good, but I don't think it'll be a masterpiece. I think it might be maybe an 8 out of 10 movie. It's a good movie, but it's not the greatest like story ever told, right? Yeah. Obviously. Because I think James Gunn knows what he's doing. I think it'll be a good movie. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's coming out July 11th, guys. Superman, right? Yeah, you're welcome, Warner Brothers. I'm your brown. That's what I say. Anyways, guys, here's what I talked for an hour. I don't know, 35 minutes, whatever it is. My math is off. Stay tuned. I'll make a video tomorrow after my daunting shift at Coco Fruity. This is Vladimir. I'm signing up. Peace, guys. Hope you guys enjoy this show. Peace.